It's already okay. I can start. I hope ma'am is a little bit busy, it seems. Okay.
Yes, Lina, start.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. We are waiting for you only. Good afternoon, each and everyone. Today we are having a special speaker in Tradepreneur Global Academic Platform UK, US Indo-Science Technology Collaboration for Security US. It is a goal. Today they are going to concentrate on Goal 11, Sustainable Development, Responsible Consumption and Production. We are having an eminent faculties here. I'm thinking I don't want to explain about conception and production because conception and production we can't able to divide because it is like as population is increasing, we need more consumption and need more production. So today first eminent person, Dr. N. Serin Turkiman, Assistant Professor, Sakarya University of Applied Science, Turkey, going to deliver. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome.
I'm starting now. First of all, I should share my screen. That would be better. Yes, I'm starting as Sena Malik from yesterday, fast start. Today, I'm gonna talk about the Sustainable Development Goal 12 of responsible consumption and production. My outline would be as seen at the left side. I will introduce the Sustainable Development Goal we're considering. Then I'm gonna introduce a new concept of circular economy as a challenge to approve the Sustainable Development Goal. And I will talk about what's the difference between the circular economy and the linear economy and the basics of circular economy under the context of the butterfly diagram, and what are the barriers integrating for responsible consumption and production would be worldwide. I will talk about these. Then let's go further. Next page. Yes. When we look at Goal 12 for Sustainable Development, we know that it aims to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns worldwide. That means we should ensure good use of resources, we should improve energy efficiency, sustainable infrastructure, and provide some basic services to worldwide. And we should also provide some green and decent jobs and ensure a better quality of life for all of the global living things. As we know, that goal has 11 targets. 4 of them would be achieved by the year 2030 and 1 by the year 2012. I think the 4th one, responsible management of chemicals and waste, and the 6 other doesn't have target years. I've written their target years to their side. If we look at these targets generally, we see that they aim to reduce our global impact over the environment. We want to reduce our general waste. We want to halve our per capita food waste and promote sustainable environmental procedures. In that sense, I'm going to read a paragraph from the Sustainable Development Goals about the aforementioned goal. Let's read together. We countries commit to fundamental changes in the way that our societies produce and consume goods and services. Governments, international organizations, the business sector, and non-state actors and individuals must contribute to changing unsustainable consumption and production patterns, including through mobilization from all sources of financial and technical assistance to strengthen developing countries' scientific, technological, and innovative capacities to move forward more sustainable patterns of consumption and production. I deliberately underlined some expressions in this text because fundamental change and unsustainability are expressions that lead us towards the purpose of my work. as we know, living systems have been around for a few billion of years, and in a living world, there's no rubbish. Instead, materials flow. One species waste is another's food. Living things, as we know, born, grow, and die, and the nutrients return to the soil safely. And that cycle works. As humans, we adapted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. For example, when a new phone comes out, we ditch the old one. Each time we do this, we are depleting the finite supply of some resources and producing toxic waste. It simply can't work in the long term. So what can? Here, we're going to talk about another sort of rethink. My main subject is that the challenge circular economic model as a responsible mode of consumption and production. From this aspect, I will try to explore the circular economic model as a cure to conventional linear economies problems under the context of sustainable development goals. The question here is, what if the goods of today become the resources of tomorrow? One solution may be to rethink at the design stage, and we should rethink the meaning of ownership. So let's talk about the general structure of the model and highlight how businesses can create value by reusing and recycling products, and how can we contribute to make the circular economy happen. When we look at the general linear economy and circular economic model, we see that the classic linear economy is a classic model of resource consumption. As depicted in the figure, we take resources from the environment, we make products, we use them, then we dispose them. It depends on the transformation of the raw materials completely into products until the end of their life cycle. Of course, this leads to scarcity of non-renewable resources, defects to the ecological system, and we all know about the challenges that we're facing: the increasing waste, climate change, loss of biodiversity. At the same time, we want to sustain our economies and offer opportunities for a growing world of population. So, on the side below lies the circular economic model. What changes instead of linear economy? The three pillars of circular economy can be incorporated into 3R model called as reuse, recycle, and reducing. The first principle of reducing emphasizes the significance of designing stage for preventing waste as a responsible production. Then the second principle promotes the reclassification of materials and its separation into technical and nutrient matter. So that's a kind of both responsible production and responsible consumption. Then the third principle is primarily focused on renewability. It points out that renewable energy is the main source of energy for circular economy. So the model, if we illustrate the model in a more detailed manner, that figure is taken from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, that's named as the butterfly diagram. And that diagram is the basics of circular economy, defines the basics. There are two loops in the economy when we talk about the circular economic basics. The first loop is the left side, green loop, biotic nutrients. And the right side is the blue loop, the technical nutrients. According to this circular diagram, the strategy is that if the circles are tight, that means the products remain in the loop of the longest possible time and obtain the highest significant value as possible. So the circular economy says that please close the loops for a sustainable and responsive consumption and production. What does it mean, closing the loops? For closing the loops, a typical business should investigate three main processes. If one of these processes failed to be closed, then we are not talking about a circular economic model. What are these? The first one is acquisition, the second one is reprocessing, the third one is remarketing. In terms of acquisition, we talk about that. A firm should collect the right volumes of products or materials of the right quality and at a reasonable price. For reprocessing, we're talking about the refurbishing or remanufacturing or recycling, whatever else. Recycle the used products or materials for a reasonable price. And the third one, the remarketing stage, there should be markets identified where reprocessed products can be bought. If these three business processes are managed correctly by a firm, by a market, or the economy-wide, at last global-wide, then we can say that the loops are closed, so no resource is used. It returns to the basic model, and we should be responsible consumers or responsible producers. Then let's go further. So then the model is very easy. Do what I say, the three things, and be responsible. So why we can't do? Till now, no single country has finished the transition. They are trying after the Sustainable Development Goals, after the efforts of the some bodies, organizational bodies are trying to manage some parts, but no full transition is occurred. The transition also requires a change in behavior and habits. So it's crucial to determine the potential barriers why we cannot achieve that desired goal. Let's define them. There are several just countrywide, but some of them can be the lack of required skills and knowledge for doing works in a circular manner. Also, as I said before, the acquisition, reprocessing, and remarketing process, the market is important. But if that kind of a market doesn't exist, or we do not have the required data, so there's an uncertainty of consumer demand, so uncertainty of benefits. The uncertainty also leads to a barrier to achieve circular economy. Then resources are a problem. When you want to become a responsive producer, you should find and use responsive inputs. So if you are lacking these kinds of resources, you cannot go further. So time can be a barrier. We have strict production processes, some given words, so we should fit into our time, and that's a challenge. Changing the production process is against that time barrier. Also, the supply chain as a full should work in cooperation. Upper side of the supply chain and the right and left sides of the supply chain should work cooperatively. If one of these chain sides is not working cooperatively, so circular economic model also falls. Then what can we say? The regulations are important. In European Union, regulations come first, then the firms and the consumers behave according to the regulations. But for example, as in my country, Turkey, we do things, then regulations come. There's a word, but I'm not telling it. There's a Turkish word we generally use, kervan yolda düzülür. So the regulation problem is also a challenge, a barrier to circular economy. We should first of all fit the model. How can you do things? What can you do a counter thing for a wrong movement? You should fit the rules, then do things. But in some parts of the world, as in Turkey, the regulation is also a barrier to integrating sustainability. And this goes on, organizational problems, monetary problems, and some product requirements. Maybe in your country, there are some basic product requirements, and these requirements cannot be fit into the circular economy as a kind of regulation. So what can we do? My speech would be as short as I can. So that's the last page. I'm finishing. The suggestions for achieving that sustainable goal with a way of called circular economic model, we can take some suggestions into consideration. The first one is the product life extension. We should extend the useful life of our products. How can we do this? The first one is eco-friendly and recyclable products using. How can you design eco-friendly recyclable products? And the second part of the product life extension is the designing longer lasting products. And also, if my pen, for example, if that's a long lasting pen, then if I have any problem, I should find an easy way to repair, and I should find parts easily. So product life extension is about technical designing of the products and technical redesigning of the production procedure. When the loop is smaller, so the profitability of the system would be more. If the profitability rises, then uncertainty starts to fall. So you should find ways to extending products. Then the other one, products as a service instead of consumerism. Let's think of a car. I have a car, I'm a university teacher. When there's traffic congestion, for example, in Istanbul, I drive with my car on Monday to my work. I put my car to the car park of my university and return home with a bus. And the rest of the weekdays, I use bus as a mobility thing instrument. Then on Friday, take my car from the garage and take it to my home to use it on weekends. If I just use my car, I use it just for 2 days. Should I own it? Yeah, owning is a must for using a car. So we should define products instead of owning them as a service. We should use their value, we should use them as use-oriented instead of product-oriented. The third one is the use of idle machinery and equipment through B2B marketplace. That's like my personal car. As you know, there are many idle machinery lying at car park of some firms, etc. If we can find a way to use this idle machinery and equipment as a service instead of just owning them, that would be better for not producing more of the idle machinery and equipment to other ones who need them. So we should think instead of consumerism as a way of sharing economy. Then the last suggestion can be carbon labeling. You are a consumer, typical consumer, you go to the market, and if you see the carbon labeling on a typical product that you buy, that would be an incentive for you to choose between the least carbon having one. So some products should be labeled as, since we say that they are halal, they have some standards, etc. Carbon labeling should be used as a general standard worldwide. These are the things I will talk about that Sustainable Development Goal. Last of my speech. Thank you for your listening.
We can't hear, Dr. Lina, we can't hear you. Please turn it on your microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Seren. Students, my dear participants, do you have any clarification from Dr. Seren? I hope it is really clear information, because Dr. Seren gave a clear information, in-depth information. Really, thank you, madam. Actually, madam clearly mentioned about Sustainable Development Goal 12, encourage more sustainable about conception and production pattern through various measures, including specific policy on international agreement on management of material that are toxic to the environment. Madam highlighted a little bit, really very nice. And what is the global goal of 12? I mean, the Sustainable Goal 11. Actually, world consumption and production is dividing force of global economy. So rest on the use of natural environment and resources in which they continue to have destructive impact on the planet. That's what today we learned from the madam. The second, we are having another very eminent, very famous speaker, that is Figen, Dr. Figen Selen, is a researcher from Nedis University, Faculty of Agriculture, Department of Agricultural Economics, and has been in the academic team in the department since 2013. She had her bachelor degree from Marmara University, Department of Business Administration in Turkey, and Master's in Science degree from University of Reading on Agricultural Development, Economics in the UK. She had completed her PhD on 2011 in Dennis University. Her main research emphasis is on agricultural growth and development. She has been working on agricultural pricing and trade policy making, both the things, and she was additionally expertise on project cycle management and has a professional experience on project management on NGO level. Welcome you, ma'am. On behalf of Tradepreneur, I welcome you. You are the speaker for this particular platform. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jennifer. A warm hi to everyone from Turkey, from Antalya. I'm going to present my ideas, my conceptions about SDG 12. There might be some overlaps with Dr. Ceren, but consider it as a different perspective. Now I can, I guess, start sharing my screen first. Yeah. I want to talk about the fundamental background and evolution of the responsible or sustainable consumption and production goal. You have already talked about the Sustainable Development Goals that were fostered on 2015 to be accomplished at most by 2030. And we are on the 12th goal. SDG 12 in general aims to achieve development plans, estimate and reduce future costs of any sort to human and the earth, to foster economic competitiveness and reduce and manage poverty by promoting resource and energy efficiency, promoting sustainable infrastructure implementation and management, providing access to basic services, utilities, green and decent jobs, and better quality of life for all. As for all other goals, SDG 12 incorporates 11 basic determined targets and 13 indicators. I am going to talk about some indicators to give us an idea what we have to do in the close future. But let's briefly go over the scheme. As Dr. Ceren had talked about the targets, I want to focus more on the indicators in this case. The number of sustainability agreements signed by countries, the material footprint data, the domestic material consumption, global food loss index or relevant waste generation indices developed and recorded and reported have been used as monitoring tools for the SDG 12 and its accomplishment process. There are many other indicators, of course. So since 2015, we have been watching the progress of humanity, we people on behalf of all living things on Earth. We have been watching these indicators, but before proceeding with the details of these indicators, I want to briefly talk about the relationship between SDG 12 with other SDGs. You have talked about, you have been involved in details of 11 goals up until now, but, and some had remained back. But we can clearly infer that SDG 12, reasonable, responsible, sustainable consumption and production is almost at the very center of these goals. It has clear relationships with other goals. As an instance, it's possible success, SDG 12's possible success in cooperation with zero hunger and good health and well-being goals would help human surveillance on Earth. The interrelation between climate action, life below water, and life on Earth would add to this sustainability with the other living species, survival of all livelihoods. Economic and social quality of younger generations and planning for future of the world would be granted by in cooperation with good health and well-being, quality education and decent work and economic growth objectives. Finally, the environmental protection and sustainability could be embraced with industry innovation and infrastructure and climate action goals in a complementary way, so as to provide multi-dimensional perspectives for all policymakers and implementers. These have been the plans, but what's the reality that we have been facing with? Actually, with the estimated more than 9.5 billion people of population for the world by 2050, one world would not be adequate for our future. At least resources for 3 worlds would be required to feed the human on 2050. As we cannot multiplicate the world, we have to reduce and assure efficiency of available resources. Now, as I've told you, what have we done so far, and what we have to focus on should be watched through the indicators of this goal. Firstly, I want to talk about global material footprint of we humans. Material footprint refers to biomass, fossil fuels, metal and non-metal ores left behind our production and consumption activities. And from 1990 to 2017, the challenges you can see in the table on the left-hand side. It means that within 27 years, our billion metric tons of material footprint left behind had more than doubled within 27 years, but it was expected to more than double in the forthcoming 40 years. So we have to monitor what we have been leaving behind very clearly. In addition to this aggregate figure, actually the per GDP and per population indices provide a more clear view of material footprint. When taking 2000 as a base year, on the left-hand side, you see a material footprint per GDP index that's fluctuating, while the per population index has a steady rise within 30 years. Checking out the steady rise in the population as well, we can definitely say that the fluctuating index on the left-hand side is related with the fluctuation in GDP, not in the material footprint. So it's obvious to conclude that our leftovers has been rising critically, and it has not stopped yet. In another perspective, we can check this global material footprint data by differentiating the countries. As we can expect, high income and upper middle income countries' production of material footprint is much above the world average, while the remaining can contribute in a lower manner. And a significant detail that we can recognize here is among upper middle income countries, that from 2000 to 2017, the rise of the rise in the footprint left behind by developing countries has increased much more faster than high income countries. So development and environmental protection with regards to production remedies should be considered together. In addition to this, we have to focus on the, there is another aspect that we can look for. We have been using and consuming electronic and electronical devices more than ever since the beginning of the millennium. And the amount of electronical waste and the share of this waste that can be recycled is an indicator of progress or repress in this process. We can say that the amount of e-waste per person was 5.3 kilograms per person in 2010 and rose to 7.3 kgs. E-cycling, the amount of electronical wastes that were recycled had risen as well, but we can see that the gap between the produced amount and cycled amount has not been closed, and there is no sign for its closure up until now. Taking these industrial leftovers, I can proceed with what is another strict critical impact for future. Global food loss. I, as an economist or an agricultural economist, have been focused on food safety and food security. But now we all our colleagues and the future generations have to consider sustainability as well. The amount of food lost during transportation and storage phase is incredibly high. Actually, 16% of the food has been disposed of during transportation process, which counts around $400 billion per year. And this is a devastating amount that needs to be intervened. And the highest contributor country groups are Central and Southern Asia, followed by Europe and Northern America. From these country groups, we can say that the high population, heavy population is a reason for contributing in food losses. And the second reason is the unsatisfactory consumption patterns in Europe and Northern America. And as expected, the lowest contribution comes from Australia and New Zealand, the countries or the continents that need to be self-sufficient in any manner are more cautious about food losses. So it's from here up until here, I have tried to talk about the indicators. We can consider how we can change this process from now on. Dr. Ceren had talked about the transition from linear to circular economy. I can emphasize it in a different perspective. Linear economy has been the traditional approach maintained for millennia, actually, and it embraced sole utilization of all resources, taking the resources, making the final output, using and disposing it without considering the future use or future effect of these disposals. On the other hand, circular economy that incorporates life cycle assessment inferred ideas on cycling and beginning a new production process from the products that completed their shelf lives, their use lives. So not disposing of the product, but returning into a new raw material has become a critical idea for nowadays, for our contemporary world. The main emphasis can be shortened as do not dispose, but do transform. How we can achieve this can be referred in a multidimensional way. I want to refer to the United Nations Global Compact principles hereby. These principles are enumerated until 4 subheadings. In order to achieve this sustainability and circular economy to work, to proceed, human resources occasion aims to support protection of the available employees and avoid HR, human resources abuses. Additionally, under labor heading, the laborers, the employees should be given all sort of freedoms and all sort of compulsory or child labor should be eliminated. Discrimination with reference to gender, age, or gender age should be eliminated, definitely. In terms of environment, as we are very well aware of, even if we don't proceed accurately, we have to see it on the environment's requests rather than issuing our intentions on them. And anti-corruption has been added as an additional subheading, as in order to assure all sorts of progresses, the managerial authorities should be controlled and managed properly as well. From here, we have learned about the 3 R's principle, reduce, recycle, and reuse principles of principles. Yet we should be aware that these 3 R's have been converted into 7 R's in the meantime. Okay, we have been asked to reduce the inputs and reduce the consumption that we have been maintaining, or recycling the raw materials and products, or reusing. But these are not enough for our developing and mostly more technologically dependent world. If we need to focus on reusing the product, we have to consider repairing it as well as recycling it. Or we can repurpose a product rather than disposing it off. So not only recycling, but repairing and repurposing has become additional consideration fields for contemporary world. And the final addition is on refusal. Sometimes we can neither use nor recycle the leftovers or used products, but then we have to rethink how to resituate them within the environment that should be protected. So I want to end up with what has been done and what we have to do in the close future. Checking out the objectives, the targets, the general frames set forward, the international bodies, the international organizations have determined or enlightened the route. Actually, we do know what to do on global, international, or even on national level, but the idea resides on how we can do and who would monitor the process. Actually, on country levels, on national level, the implementing agencies have been prepared as well. So the final question stands whether the companies and whether the consumers, we as the consumers, would meet up the expectations of this process. So it's of best for various industries and companies to follow these paths in order to survive their industries and in order to inherit what they have been producing to their following next generations as well. Therefore, to finalize my presentation, I can say that we know what to do. We have been told what to do for decades, since many decades. But we have to be both logical and emotional and act for future to sustain the world, and sustaining production and consumption is one of the very important phases of this sustainability planning process. My presentation has ended right now, I hope.
Really, thank you, madam.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Rahima Figen Selin, Associate Professor at Deniz University, Antalya, Turkey. Really, we enjoyed your information. Now it is time to ask some question related to that from Dr. Selin. Dear participants, if you're having any doubt, you can raise the question. I hope everybody enjoyed your lecture, it seems, madam. Thank you once again on behalf of Tradepreneur Global Academic Platform UK, US, India Science and Technology Collaboration for Security US. Really, we thank you. We enjoyed your lecture. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much.
Actually, sustainable development, responsible consumption and production, that is goal 12, mainly concentrate towards worldwide consumption and production. Madam, both of the speaker clearly explained the driving force of global economy rests on the use of natural environment and resources in a way that continue to have a destructive impact on the planet. Economic and social progress over the last century has been accompanied by the environmental degradation that is endangering the very system on which our future development, in need, our very survival depends. A few fact and figure. If a people worldwide switch to energy efficient light bulb, the world would save $120 billion annually. Should the global population reach 9.6 billion by 2050, the equivalent of almost 3 planets could be required to provide the natural resources needed to sustain current life cycle. Really, we gave clear, full information from both the speaker, and the third one we are having another student participant from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi, Mr. Vishal, going to explain about use of bioplastic. Vishal from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi.
Lina, I think Vishal is not here.
Okay, no problem. The next participant, Elix Pektas from Akdeniz University, Turkey, going to explain about the link between circular economy and responsible consumption. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Yeliz Pektaş. I'm going to present you the link between circular economy and responsible consumption under Goal 12 as a master's student of agricultural economics at Akdeniz University. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So I'm going to start. The Sustainable Development Goals are interlinked. In most cases, creating a positive impact in one will also benefit other. Responsible consumption and production makes critical connections among other goals. The centrality of SDG 12 has important implications for sustainable businesses of all sectors. Yet again, it demonstrates that a focus on the fundamental ways in which we produce, distribute, use, and dispose of products is vital. The growth of the circular economy is essential. Circular economy methods aim to decouple economic activity from resource consumption and its accompanying environmental and social repercussions, which is central to this goal. Importantly, this objective is a critical facilitator for attaining the majority of the other SDGs, making the indirect impact of circular economy practices even more substantial.
Yeliz, kameran yok mu? Kameranı açsan da görsek seni.
Çok affedersiniz.
Yes, now it's okay. Go on.
With industrialization, increased waste due to resource use brings various problems. Limited resources are gradually decreasing, access to raw materials is getting harder, competition is increasing, and the inevitable consequences of climate change are strikingly visible. Countries have begun to explore various remedies as a result of rising environmental degradation and climate crisis. The circular economy, which is a sustainable production model in which every waste generated in the production system is re-evaluated, thus minimizing the raw material cost and keeping the resource efficiency at the highest level as one of these solutions. Many governments are taking initiatives and drafting policies about the circular economy. This topic has risen to the top of the political agenda in Turkey in recent years. Industrialization has led in an economic structure that is dependent on resource utilization. The linear economy, which doesn't account for limiting natural resources, does not appear to be sustainable as the danger of resource shortages grows considerably. As a result of globalization, supply chains have become more complicated, market competitiveness and price volatility have grown, and industrial operations have gotten more complicated. Likewise, the existing economic system's linearity hastens is disintegration from sustainability. This circumstance also creates a barrier to the attainment to the UN 17 SDGs. So a new economic model is needed that adopts the principle of cycle continuation by making end of consumption and production-based outputs the input of the same or another sector, which is more applicable, increases intersectoral cooperation, ensures resource efficiency, and reduces the concept of waste. So where is the place of circular economy and practice of SDG 12? Sustainable consumption and production entails encouraging resource and energy efficiency, as well as giving access to essential services, green and decent jobs, and a higher quality of life for everybody. Its implementation contributes to the achievement of overall development goals, the reduction of future environmental and social costs, and strengthening of economic competitiveness and the reduction of poverty. Within the SDG 12, the concept of a circular economy, which is an alternative economic framework, has gained major importance in recent years, likewise considered as representing an approach for achieving local, national, and global sustainability. Circular economy practices consist of various techniques and business models, which are reuse, repair, refurnishment, remanufacturing, recycled, rethinking, reducing, and redesigning, and repurposing. Our present economic strategy is built on a linear economy model based on the concept of take, make, and dispose. The circular economy model, on the other hand, is prioritized because of the rapid increase in consumption as a result of the use of resources to serve a rapidly growing population with rising living standards. As a regenerative system that attempts to optimize the resources we use and keep them in cycles for as long as possible. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation defines the circular economy as Dr. Ceren already explained it. There are two cycles, one of them a biological cycle in which after use leftovers are returned to nature, the other one a technological cycle in which products and components are intended to reduce waste. Materials, whether biological or technological, are reused in cycle in a circular economy, reducing the environmental effects of products and services along the value chain. So why we need circular economy? Each year, more than 100 billion tons of resources are transferred to the economy, with more than 60% of them resulting in waste and an increase in greenhouse gas emissions, which is one of the causes of climate catastrophe. So there are some opportunities the circular economy may bring: reducing costs, reducing raw material price fluctuations, growth with less resource use, more resilient businesses, more competitive businesses, creating new job opportunities, increasing employment, sustainable export of products and services. And the last one, greenhouse gas emissions and waste decreases. So where should we start? Raw materials are the cornerstone of the things we use. End-of-life items should be reconsidered as potential resources for a new cycle, and unused material losses and stockpiles should be avoided within the value chain. There are several options for rational raw material usage, including material reduction and optimization, industrial symbiosis, recycling, reuse, redistribution, resale, refurbishing, remanufacturing, maintenance, repair, and service, which are circular arts. And the second one is design. During the design stage, about 80% of the product's environmental implications may be found out. A good design benefits the cost saving, time, energy, and materials. The scope of eco-design criteria will be broadened beyond energy efficiency to encourage enhanced repairability, upgradability, durability, and recyclability of items according to the Circular Economy Action Plan presented as a part of EU Circular Economy Package. It is a bottom-up technique that tries to reduce resource needs and environmental effects on the life cycle of product from an early stage of product design. The last one is supply chain. Redesigning your goods and operations to utilize less material benefits both the environment and your businesses. Instead of acquiring virgin material, picking alternate source of supply, such as recycled material, is a new option. Instead of using fossil fuels, choosing sustainable energy sources is also the other alternative. Improving supply chain entails finding the weakest links in the chain rather than just lowering numbers. It shows dependency on crucial raw materials. So there are 5 circular economy implementation models. Circular supplies chain paradigm entails replacing traditional industrial inputs with biodegradable, renewable, or recyclable or recycled resources. This concept may be viewed as a type of resource recovery in which material recovery is considered much earlier in the product life cycle. The theory underpinning the circular supply chain is known as a cradle-to-cradle product design. In a cradle-to-cradle strategy, endless use of materials become inputs in the manufacturing of new goods. Product life extension, at the stage of classical long life model, the goal of this business strategy is to make assets last longer. Changes in product design lengthen the product's projected life. Reusing models provides to products which will be discarded before reaching their expiry date are redistributed and repurposed. Maintenance and repair guarantee that damaged items fulfill their full life cycle by repairing or replacing damaged components. The final stage, which are renovation and remanufacturing, provide new life to products by mending and restoring them. The sharing economy starts with the idea of every underutilized resource as a wasted resource. It creates a platform for product users to collaborate, allowing them to share surplus capacity or underuse, as well as increase productivity and user value generation. These are some examples. Airbnb is one of them. Airbnb platform, a network that connects travelers who want to share their extra space with travelers looking for a cheaper or different place compared to hotels. BlaBlaCar, a common car sharing platform that determines the route, departure time, locations of the drivers who will travel, the number of available places, and the prices of the trip as part of this business model can be exemplified. Product services system business model combines a physical product with a service component, providing an alternative to the classic buy and own paradigm. It has described as a marketable product and service group that can fulfill its consumers' demands in a cost-effective and long-term way. Products are used by one or many customers by means of lease or pay-for-use arrangement. Resource recovery, production of secondary raw materials from trash is one of the resource recovery business strategies. It eliminates material leakage and maximizes economic value of products return flows. Collection, sorting, and secondary production are the 3 major tasks here. The resultant secondary raw materials, such as materials, plastics, paper, and so on, are subsequently sold to a variety of manufacturers. The usage of materials in the waste stream is at the heart of resource recovery models. So there are some examples for this business model. Pharrell Williams and G. Starrow transformed the plastic waste situated in the oceans into wearable fashions like jeans, t-shirts, and even kimonos. The process is done by breaking down plastics and converting them into fibers to clothing called Bionic Yarn. Also, Pharrell Williams' collection, I Am Other, works in partnership with circular design and technology company Pentatonic to turn CDs and food packaging into reusable cutlery. These are the 5 models that I've already explained. According to the EU's Commission's categorization system for the circular economy, there are 4 core models. First of all, circular design and production models strive to improve resource efficiency through design, innovation, and re-engineering. Implied applications provide benefits after use phases, which also reduces need of raw materials. Secondly, circular use models aim to increase resource efficiency through product and asset lifespan extension based on circular arts. The third one, circular value recovery, aims to increase resource efficiency by recovering waste in preparation for circular arts, which are carried out at the stage after use period. The last one is circular support, provides to enable other circular practices and provide contribution to increased resource efficiency. These are the circular economy principles. Ours, Dr. Figen is already explained detailly, so I'm not get into it. Also, Dr. Ceren already explained the targets of Goal 12. I'm not also get into it. So there are some examples from Turkey. One of them is Arçelik. Arçelik CSARS project and EU Horizon 2020 project created to support resource efficiency-based circular economy business models in the electrical and electronics industry. The project aims to design circular economy business models, test the design models, and measure their applicability. Bio-based regular polyurethane foam insulation material developed for the first time in the world for domestic refrigerator application. High performance recycled polyamide compounds obtained using waste finishing net. For the first time, 30% recycled polycarbonate acrylic butadiene stream material usage on the television back covers are the applications implemented by Arçelik under the crucial economy applications. The other one, glassware brand Paşabahçe, gave life to its new collection, environmentally friendly aware collection, in order to protect nature and the environment. It consists of 100% recycled glass products. It reduces the amount of industrial waste. It eliminates the need for new raw materials. The other one, Waste Espresso, with the method of composting the coffee waste it developed, produces disposable biostraw and plastics that can dissolve in the nature in 60 years for places such as cafes, restaurants, and hotels. The last one is Oton Design. Oton Designs develops and manufactures aesthetic and quality products that are further recycled using sustainable production methods for organic waste such as fruit and vegetable peels and tallum leaves. All of the products produced are made of colored composite materials containing at least 50% vegetable waste similar to marble or fruit palm. The Turkey's transition to circular economy. According to the Turkish Statistical Institute, sustainable development indicators, whereas our country's raw material consumption was 500 million tons in the 2000s, this value has more than doubled, surpassing 900 million tons with a moderate growth in the 2010s. Similarly, home energy consumption has increased to 3,900 from 2054, and whereas dependency on foreign energy reached from 66% in the 2000s to 75% in the 2010s. In the last 10 years, the EU has prioritized the circular economy, with Northern European nations leading the way. Turkey is likewise aware of the situation and is attempting to take appropriate action. Since restructuring of the EU market will have an impact on Turkey, the circular economy issue is critical for our country. Turkey's primary development difficulties in light of population and industrial expansion are pollution prevention and waste minimization. On the other hand, the number of research on the circular economy is progressively expanding, and the idea of circular economy is gaining prominence in Turkey, as evidenced by the fact that activities on this subject are expanding day by day. The environment chapter was launched in 2009 with the start of full membership discussion with EU, and legislative harmonization began under this framework. During this time, significant efforts were taken in the waste industry, including the publication of communiques and rules on a variety of topics, including waste oils, packaging, electronic trash, and batteries. The inclusion of the circular economy on Turkey's agenda is based on EU's circular economy package, which was enacted in 2015. Due to the EU's scarce and restricted resource dilemma applies to Turkey, and Turkey is a candidate nation for the EU, Turkey should take comparable actions and adopt or align with this law. Aside from that, within the context of the circular economy, zero waste regulation and zero waste project, sustainable consumption and production action plan, and near zero waste Turkey program application and actions can be given as an example. So thank you for your time listening to me.
Wow, really wonderful speech by Ms. Ellis from Turkey. She explained about various information models and current practical information. We can able to understand what is the meaning of sustainable consumption and production. Thank you, Ms. Ellis. Thank you for your wonderful speech. The next speaker, participant, do you have any doubt? If you want to clarify something, you can ask from Ms. Ellis. She's here. Okay, thank you. The next participants, we are having another student from Mr. S.K. Benjamin King. He's a graduate, he's an engineer from Madras Institute of Technology, currently doing Masters in Business Administration in Vailtech Rangarajan Dr. Shakuntala R&D Institute of Science and Technology, Avadi, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. Now I welcome S.K. Benjamin King. You are going to present. Benjamin?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, can you make me as a presenter, ma'am? I cannot able to present my screen, ma'am.
Dr. Rashmi? Dr. Rashmi? Dr. Rashmi, ma'am, can you make us a presenter?
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes. Yes, yeah, you can.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, good evening to everyone present here. I am S.K. Benjamin Kings, first year MBA student from ILTech, Dr. Rangarajan Dr. Shakuntala R&D Institute of Science and Technology, Avadi, Chennai. It's my great pleasure to present in Unsustainable Development Goals Summit 2021 on the 11th goal of sustainable cities and communities. I would like to thank the organizers and Dr. Lina Jennifer ma'am for giving this chance to me. And let's start with the topic. The topic I have chosen on the 11th goal is socio-ecological sustainability development. What is sustainable development? Already the speakers before me spoke and I given a clear explanation about that, but still I want to put forth my thoughts here. We should not overuse the available resources. We all know what is resources, and we should use those resources in correct manner so that the future generation also can enjoy and avail the resources. According to the UNO, sustainable development meets the needs of the without sacrificing the ability for future generation to meet their own needs. And every country should be aware of the economic and the social development and the social they should define terms and conditions to be followed, and all this can be achieved only by the broadest public participation, and that should be encouraged. And the next slide is, now we can see about neighborhood sustainability. The neighborhood sustainability are which we use it for living, that is water, waste management, green space, community space, food, and walkable urbanism. Let's see each and everything in order. First one is water. Already we know the importance of water, as we all discussed on this topic last Saturday. This is the resource which you all need, used to without any proper consent. And instead of using packaged waters, we can use drilled and dug wells, will give more health benefits without added chemicals that can possibly harm the body. We can use rainwater harvesting. Government has taken various actions. We all need to follow those protocols, and should have rainwater harvesting system in our home. And these kinds of water are naturally softened and will taste good, as well as it is environmental friendly. And the next one is waste management. We have a lot more industries here, but only very few follow the recycling method and the protocols. So government should bring more rules to follow regarding recycling. And the second point is a kind of way of using sewage drained waters to the trees after treatment. We can use the sewage waters for watering the plants and composting. Instead of throwing the degradables into the dustbin, we can use it for land after composting. Many rural area peoples following the system. And the next one is green space. Green space, we all can have our own garden in our terrace or in the backyard. We can cultivate the vegetables we want if we have space. Many countries has implemented and built solar powered roads, and in one country they have just built a road with solar panels so that Tesla cars can charge the vehicles on the way. And instead of buying veggies and fruits which were grown by the genetic change, like growing or cultivating seasonal fruits, vegetables in the opposite season, we can buy it on the season. It will pollute and bring sickness to ourselves. And next one is community space. We have a lot more resources around us, and many resources got vanished and some getting eliminated slowly. All these are because of the unhealthy practices of using resources. We have a lot more technologies, so we should use those technologies to make use of the resources correctly. We should save the resources for the future generation. We should not be very selfish using all the resources for ourselves. We should save something for the future generation, the next generation up to come. And I want to give an example here. In my city, Chennai, once upon a time, there was a clean water river named Kuvam. Once upon a time, people used that river water for all purpose, like bathing, drinking, everything, for cooking. Even they used that water for cooking. But due to using the river in an unhealthy manner, people started to pollute it. And now we are just dumping our garbages in that river. It looks like sewage water now. So we need to use each and every resources in a correct manner, in a rightful manner, considering our next generation. And these are the walkable urbanisms, home design. We can use green roofs in our house when we are building a house. And the building materials, we can use solar panels in yard or in the backyard or in the terrace. Trees on both sides of the house, which can improve the oxygen level. And salvaged wood, we can use the recycling woods to prevent cutting the trees. Recycled fiberglass insulation and low flow in faucets and toilets, which can prevent more usage of water. Recycled carpet or carpet made of natural fibers. And sustainable forms of energy like wind energy, solar energy, hydroelectric energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy. We all have the systems, but we need some development in the system so that these systems can produce more energies, which is very eco-friendly. And these are the factors, the three factors in sustainable development. One is economic objective, and the second one is ecological objective. Third one is social objective. All these are independent, but we are depending on it. So we should use all these three resources in a rightful manner. And with environmental, economic, and social goal, when all these three combines together in a growth, then that is called sustainable development. By this, I want to finish it up. Thank you for this opportunity, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Benjamin. You gave a practical information. Once again. Thank you, Benjamin. You are giving a practical information about each and everything. Really, it's great. Actually, COVID-19 pandemic offered countries an opportunity to build recovery plans that will reverse current trend and change our consumption and production pattern towards a more sustainable future. Students, do you have any doubts regarding Mr. Benjamin speech? If you're having any clarification, you can ask with Mr. Benjamin. He's there. Okay. Okay, thanks, Benjamin. That means it is really clear information. Really, I thank that opportunity for tradepreneurs for giving an opportunity to explain about sustainable goal. From last week, we are having goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 already completed. And tomorrow we are having goal 13, that is from an eminent person, and we are really interested to listen. Dr. Marinica, University of Craiova, Romania. And another speaker from Dr. M. Nisa, Associate Professor from Akdeniz University, Turkey. So students, you have to be there in the same time, same platform. And one more thing, sustainable consumption production can also contribute substantially to, the transition towards low carbon and great economies. So be safe, be happy. And if anyone having a doubt, you can discuss here. And I like to thank all the, very famous eminent lecturers are here, eminent professors are here from throughout the world, from America to throughout Australia. They are having so many persons are there. Thank you each and everyone on behalf of Tradepreneur UK. Thank you once again. Thank you. Tomorrow we are going to meet at same platform, same time. Thank you.